Hi everyone, Radical Dreamer here, and welcome to the Postal Code Unknown podcast for Friday, June 30th of 2017. I mentioned in yesterday's episode that I would talk about a road that I traveled, and I've done quite a bit of walking over the past couple of years. It's one of my favorite things to do, as well as one of my favorite things to do to sort of reflect on things in my life and get exercise and a whole ton of other things. So specifically in this episode, I want to call back to what I've mentioned a few times previously. In the very first episode of this particular iteration of the video podcast that I've been doing, I sort of talked a little bit about the Camino de Santiago, which was a pilgrimage path through the northwest of Spain that I did pretty much near the beginning of this journey that I've been on. And it's about 450 miles long, 790 kilometers. The official statement is 775 kilometers, and I think with some of the detours and other stops that I had done, it ended up being about 813 for me. About 1 million steps that I counted using my step counter, which was pretty crazy. And one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life. It's something that has changed me utterly and completely, and really been one of the most valuable things that I've done maybe in my entire life. So without further ado, today's item, and this won't be the only story from the Camino, it's more sort of like a specific reflection, and I'll have more episodes on this in the future with different items to share as well. So this is my shell. So my sort of Camino shell. So it's a scallop shell. You can sort of see it's chipped on corners. It's got sort of a orange and brown tinge to it. It's connected with a little piece of string, which is what I was sort of given with it and how I attached it to my pack. It's the mark of a pilgrim. As you're traveling the Camino. It's chipped mostly because I had it on the outside of my bag, and as you leave it in different places, I did my best to sort of keep it intact, but it's this shell, so it's not the most sturdy thing in the world, but the thing that I like most about it is sort of it's a real metaphor for my travel, so I'm happy that it's chipped in places. I went through a lot and managed to be resilient through that, and I feel it's sort of like a metaphor for my own journey in that case. So, with that said, what this particular, the reason why I bring up this road today, as we walk roads in general, as I'd been talking about the road that goes ever on and on, in yesterday's podcast, what I wanted to sort of talk about was one of the most important lessons that I've learned while traveling, and that is to slow down. It's something that's repeated in a lot of different things that I've read and seen in movies and those kinds of things as well, but learning that experience on your own is something that's life-changing. I grew up in an area where there's a lot of pressure to succeed, a lot of pressure to move, to do things, to go faster and live a really fast-paced life where you don't really have a whole lot of time because you're always occupied doing things. It's the sort of social expectation of how to succeed or how to value your achievements and your ability and your life in general. And there's something fundamentally that I think is wrong with that. And I found that sort of reflected when I was doing this pilgrimage. A lot of people, and again, have time constraints. I was lucky to have the luxury of not having a job at the time to be able to complete the Camino de Santiago within a set time frame. I had as much time as I needed within the constraints of the visa. So the Schengen visa for U.S. citizens is about 90 days, and I spent a few weeks in France before setting off on this. In fact, the first day itself is is actually in France, and you cross over the Pyrenees into Spain, which is one of the most difficult days of the journey, but one of the most impactful in my opinion. It's where I actually met one of my very closest friends on this journey, and she's part of this lesson here too. So when I talk about slowing down, a lot of people that I met on this walk had a very one set track to get to the end. Everybody wants to get to Santiago, finish the trek. And as I got sort of further along, I totally understand you just kind of want to be done. But I thought that the sort of journey itself, this walk, was a really good way to explain to myself the journey of life in general. And to some degree, you can walk that path like people around me in the place that I had been living for a long time. Hey, you've got to get to the next step. You've got to get to the next town. You've got to keep walking. You've got to do this as fast as you can. And again, as I said before, I had the luxury of not having time constraints. Some people had, basically booked enough time off to be able to finish this and get back, which is really strenuous and really hard. But those types of constraints, I think, can limit people's enjoyment of an experience like this or their lives in general. So as I was walking, I pushed myself, and I was reached out by a friend of mine that I made on the first day who didn't do the entire crossing of the Pyrenees in the first day and actually sort of left behind. And I had a decision. I could continue going piece by piece by piece and get to the next town, get to the next town, get to the next town. And I was starting to get myself hurt. As I'd been going through, I'd had problems with my legs, with my ankles, with my feet. And it's a struggle because you are carrying items that you feel are necessary belongings. And as you, over time, start to learn, you don't need to be carrying that much because you don't need that much. And when I sort of heard out from my friends that I had been walking with had actually gone ahead because they were part of time constraints. And I made the decision to stop. I actually stopped, and I was lucky enough to sort of reach myself in Lyon, which is a major city on the Camino, which has an incredible cathedral with some wonderful stained glass windows. And I stayed there for 5 days waiting for my friend to catch up with her group so that I could sort of meet some new people and reconnect with somebody that I had met at the beginning and who I had also promised that I would help if she needed. So it also sort of was kind of cool because it ended up being that when I got to Lyon, at that particular day, they were at the beginning of a culture festival, which I would have completely missed if I had kept going. So when I talk sometimes about sort of finding a path through life, there's hints and things that sort of an indication of the direction in which you should be moving. And again, that can be interpreted in a number of ways. One friend of mine just told me it's just saying yes to things. And some people that are religiously minded might think that is their deity or their God sort of giving them clues as far as where they're supposed to be going. I'll leave that up to you to sort of think about and ruminate on. But that decision to slow down, to stop, to wait, to enjoy the experience and to value it for what it was, taught me to value my life in the steps, in the way that I've been going, and to take my time instead of rush myself to the grave. So I hope that lesson, again, it's a much better lesson learned on your own, gets you thinking and helps you to take a long, hard look at your own life and think about what's important to you and make some changes in your life that allow you to stick to your values and to enjoy your life for as long as you have it, because it's important to do that while we're here to make the most of the life that we have. And I have the utmost confidence that given the opportunity, everybody can do it, and you can totally do it. So again, thank you very much for listening or watching today. This is a pretty important episode for me, and I'd love to hear your feedbacks, or if it's made you think. What has it made you think about? Without further ado, Radical Dreamer here, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more of what I've been doing outside of these videos, you can see more at theradicaldreamer.com, where I've got articles and photographs, with travel advice and stories that aren't just in a video format. You can follow me on Twitter at OneRadicalDreamer or on Instagram at ARadicalDreamer if that's something that you're more interested in. If you're interested in supporting me, I do have a Patreon page up as well, which you can find at patreon.com/TheRadicalDreamer. And that's a way for as little as $1 a month you can help support me get better equipment and do more videos of this type and make a whole bunch more cool stuff to share with you in the future. And last but not least, if you like what you've been seeing on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and send a couple comments. I'd be happy to answer more questions in future episodes of the podcast. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Take care.